What's up, you guys? Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video just because I thought it would be fun to switch it up just a smidge. But I saw Christine from Fit Frugal Mom do this video. She found this article and it's called 32 things frugal people never do. And I consider myself to be pretty frugal. I talk about it often on this channel. Family and friends make fun of me. My husband, since we've been together, that we're super cheap, and I just thought that would be fun. So it's basically 32 things that frugal people don't do, shouldn't do, and I thought it would be fun to compare them to myself and see like if I pass them, if I don't pass them. I'll link Christine's video down below. Watched it this morning while I was unloading my dishwasher and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna film that today. So here we go. The first thing is skip budgeting, and I don't know how people live without a budget. I think a lot of these were instilled in me because I grew up like super poor, like single parent household. We had to rely on stuff from the food pantry to eat, kind of poor. So I'm like, I don't even understand, like, how do you not function without a budget? So we've always had a budget, we stick to our budgets, and that's it, end of discussion. The next one is eat out more than once a week. And when I heard this, I was like, people do that? Like, what? Who eats out more than once a week? Like, we go through seasons where we eat out more than others. We'll go through spans where it's like, typically if we eat out, it's on a Friday, and it's like an intentional decision. It's something that we know we're gonna eat out on Friday, but we don't always do that. It's been a lot less through the course of 2020 and 2021, obviously, with everything going on. I'd say on average, we eat out probably once a month. So I'm like, people eat out more than once a week? Like, that's insane. Do you not cook? Like, why do you have a kitchen at that point? The third one is ignore your credit score. And this was the same thing. I was like, people do that? Like, what? How do you not pay attention? Like, I'm not checking my credit score every day, but I always have a genuine or a general idea on where it's at. And it's funny because whenever me and my husband like have to have our credit ran for anything, it's always like a competition, like whose score is gonna be higher than the other. And it's always like we're only ever just a couple points apart, but it's really funny because Joe will have a higher score and then I'll have a higher score, and you know, it just kind of goes back and forth, but it's really funny. And he always gets really annoyed when my score is higher than his, so it's really funny. But I was like, people do that? Like, how are you an adult and you don't pay attention to what your credit score is? Pay full price. I definitely pay full price for certain items. However, I'm also not above like secondhand shops for like my stuff, my kids' stuff, Goodwill, whatever it is, household things. But I don't hold myself super strict to this as other people probably do. But yeah, when it's like big purchase items, we'll always try to squeeze a discount out of things. Like when it comes to appliances, we have 2 chest freezers in the basement, and one of them we picked off of a curb, and the other one we got on a steep discount because it was the floor model and it was dented all the heck, but it still worked fine. But we paid like next to nothing for our chest freezer because we didn't pay full price. So yeah, like some things yes, but some things no. So it's kind of like a The next one is spend time doing nothing, and that's pretty true. I'm pretty like productive. My husband definitely is. Through the weekend, he cannot have 2 days where he just sits and does nothing. Like 1 hour, 2 hours, like he has no problem sitting down and like watching a movie with the kids, but like after that, let's go, let's get things done. We are very productive people, so but don't get me wrong, I also enjoy sitting down watching TV and stuff and like having a chill moment. But yeah, we are always being productive. We have too many small children to not be productive all the time. Frugal people don't drive everywhere, and this is false for me, but I feel like it's because of the region in which I live. We live in Northeast Wisconsin. So like 6 months of the year we have like 12 feet of snow, and like lately it's been like -30 every single day for the last like 2 weeks. So of course I'm not like walking places, but also we live in the middle of the country. I live like 15 or 20 miles outside of the nearest town, so driving is kind of my only option. But it's not like we live in a big city where we can just like walk and stuff. But when we were living on Fort Drum, we lived in a really small community and we would walk to the parks all the time and things like that. But recently, no, we're not walking anywhere. The 7th thing is pay full price for cosmetics, and this is something that I definitely do. Like we love Shea Moisture products. Those aren't necessarily the cheapest option, but they're also full of like really great ingredients and stuff. However, if I do see them on a clearance rack, I typically always buy them. However, I'm not someone that like all my makeup has to be off the clearance rack, or I only buy things with a coupon, so I would kind of give myself an X for this one. Throw away anything that isn't trash. This is true. I donate pretty much everything, especially if you go to Goodwill and you donate, they'll give you like a tax write-off slip and you can write it off on your taxes if you donate so much. Garage sales, sell them on Facebook Marketplace, things like that. We do that all the time. So yeah, I definitely don't throw away anything that isn't trash. Especially, I'll link down below a playlist I'm doing currently on my channel, which is Containing the Chaos, which is a whole house minimalism series. I'm basically organizing my whole house and decluttering a ton of stuff, and I've gotten rid of so much stuff over the past couple of weeks into the new year, and pretty much everything that I have gotten rid of, I've either handed off to family members or donated after family members have said that they don't want those things. Get annoyed when prices drop. This isn't a thing for me. When prices drop, I'm like, okay, mental note, that's awesome. Or a lot of the times I'm like, man, I should have bought more of those. Or like, should I go back and get more? Do I have space in my freezer for that? Or like, when prices drop, I'm typically very happy. So this is a no. Frugal people don't pay attention to brand names. And this is kind of another one where it's like, it depends on what it is. Of course, I'm wearing name brand right now. But anyway, when it comes to like clothing and stuff, for my kids, nope. My kids are ages 5 to 1. I'm not buying name brand for them for pretty much anything, especially like shoes and clothes and stuff, because my kids are gonna roll around in the dirt outside in it, so what do I care? And it's just not something I do. However, when it comes to like jackets, snow pants, boots, things like that, we do typically buy name brand just because I want them to last, and those items are always more expensive anyways, and I would rather dish out a little bit more money and be able to pass them down from child to child, where that stuff doesn't really matter. But yeah, my kids rock Walmart jeans because they're like $3.88 a pair, and my kids are rough and tough on their clothes. Like I said, we live in the country. Like, they're helping me in the garden in the summer. They're in the chicken coop. Like, if I go over to my brother-in-law's house, they're feeding goats and cows and all that stuff. My neighbors have pigs. They're in the pig barn all the time. So those things aren't gonna be passed down anyway, so I'm not gonna pay $25 for a pair of jeans to last 3 months. 11 is be scared to invest. And this is a little bit different for me versus my husband. I don't have the brain capacity to learn about stocks and invest, and I also don't really have the time to babysit it the way that it would need to be babysat. However, my husband does. My husband's super smart. He invests all the time. It's something he's been doing on and off throughout the last like 5 or 6 years of our marriage. So my husband invests all the time. He's actually very good at it. So yeah, I would say invest. Like, so it's an for me, but a big old check mark for my husband. 12 is keep cable. I'm like, people still have cable? This was a hard one for me to get rid of. I grew up always having cable. My husband did not. My husband grew up in a family a lot more closer to how we raise our kids versus how I was raised. I grew up in the city. My region is very rural, but for our area, I grew up in the city. For other people, I grew up in Hickville, but for us, I grew up in the city, and we had cable, all that stuff, internet, all that. My husband did not. My husband didn't have cable, didn't get like internet in his home until he was like 15 or 16 or something like that. So when we moved in together, it was really hard for me to like not get cable. It was really weird, but now we haven't had cable in 6 years and I don't miss it. Not one bit, especially now with all the streaming services. My kids don't care. We have Disney Plus and that fits basically all of their needs. Netflix, also, if you're frugal and you don't share a Netflix password, like, who are you? It's family Netflix, okay? Like, my sister-in-law's on it, my mother-in-law's on it, everybody is on our Netflix. And we do have Hulu Live. We invested in that throughout the winter throughout 2020 when everything got shut down and we were all locked in the house. I did invest in Hulu Live just because it had way more options, and that's pretty much all we could really do because it was so cold in Wisconsin and I had a newborn. I couldn't just like bring everybody outside. So we do have Hulu Live. Netflix and Disney Plus, and that fits like all of our needs. So 13 is shop last minute, and I totally do this. I totally do this. I forget about things all the time. We're a little bit more prepared when it comes for like Christmas and stuff and our kids' birthdays, because all 3 of our kids have birthdays within like 60 days of Christmas. So that we do a little bit more planning. But when it comes to like anniversaries, me and my husband's birthdays, like nieces and nephews' birthdays, nope. It's the morning of the party and we're stopping and getting the present on the way there, okay? That's just how it goes. 14 is frugal people do not spoil their children. And once again, this is a big old check mark for me and a big old X for my husband. He spoils the crud out of our kids. He loves our kids very much, and our kids pretty much get everything when they go into a store with daddy, and they know it. My daughter often will tell me when I bring her into a store, she goes, "You never get me anything. I like going to the store with daddy because daddy always lets me get stuff." And I'm like, well, you came with mommy today, so sucks to suck. Number 15 is frugal people do not buy bottled water. And I buy bottled water like 3 times a year, basically around the holidays. We keep bottled water in the house for convenience purposes of people. But other than that, no, we all carry water bottles. How we drink water, especially in the summer. Sometimes I'll keep like a big pack of bottled water in our trunk just for like emergency purposes. But other than that, no, we don't really, I probably buy like 4 things of bottled water a year. 16 is ignore small health issues, and this is a big old X for me. I hate going to the doctor. I absolutely hate it. Growing up, I grew up in a single parent household, and that parent was like, anytime you sneezed, they thought you were dying, so they rushed you into the ER and they're like, yeah, it's a cold. So I was in the ER constantly as a child. I had like a handful of surgeries and different things. So the only way I'm going to a doctor is if I'm literally dying. So no, I hate going to the doctor. Number 17 is frugal people don't upgrade their phone every year. And this is so true. I'm that person that like never updates their phone, never does anything. My family members made fun of me, or like my husband's family made fun of me for the longest time because I had the same phone for like 4 or 5 years. My screen was all cracked, like you could barely see out of it, but it still worked, and I didn't want to go and get it replaced. And then I was like, oh, I have an upgrade, like my regular upgrade. So I finally went and upgraded it. But yeah, I never upgrade my phone. My husband upgrades his phone a lot more often than I do, but that's because my husband also breaks his phone a lot more often than I do. The next one is frugal people don't delay repairs. And this is so true. For the most part, the second something goes wrong, we get it fixed or we get it looked at, instead of like just trying to bust it and break it even further and have like a $15 fix turn into like you totaled your entire washing machine and you need a new one. We take care of, especially our appliances, our washer and dryer, things like that, cars, all of that stuff we take really good care of because that's the only way things are gonna last. Get your oil changed when you're supposed to, like take care of your car, general maintenance, it'll make it last longer. My husband has a truck from like the 80s that's still running, and it's because he takes care of it. So small things will make the difference in your big ticket purchases for sure. Just take care of them. Frugal people never start a dishwasher half full. And this is so true. I probably stack my dishwasher more full than it should. Who runs a dishwasher half empty? Who does that? Frugal people don't buy something just because it's on sale. And that's super true. The clearance rack is my best friend. But if I see something that's on a clearance rack, I don't always buy it just because I think it's a good deal if I'm never gonna use it. So this is really true. I don't always buy things. Number 21 is borrow money, and this is pretty true for us. Neither me or my husband have student loans or college debt or anything like that. My husband was enlisted in the Army for a handful of years. He got a GI Bill through that, and there is also a program, I cannot remember what it's called. But there's a program for lower enlisted spouses to get a $5,000 grant for college expenses, and I just chose a program that was less than $5,000 and went. So I have a college degree with no college debt. So the only time we've ever borrowed money was for our home and for our vehicles. Other than that, we We don't borrow money, we don't have credit cards, we don't do that stuff. Number 22 is spend money emotionally, and this is totally true. There's a reason I personally do not carry credit cards or anything like that, because I know myself, and that's not a bad thing to be a little self-aware sometimes. So yeah, we don't spend money emotionally, because that's just never good. It's never good. Number 23 is have empty freezers, and I've been doing a lot of videos showing you guys the inside of my freezers lately, so no, we don't have empty freezers. Number 24 is that they don't window shop. I definitely window shop. I don't do it as much as like other people I know. I have friends and stuff that window shop 3 days a week, 4 days a week. I don't do that. I window shop probably less than 10 times a year, but I do love to window shop. I just don't do it as often, mostly because I have kids. Frugal people don't buy too much house, and this is definitely true. When we bought this house going on 2 years ago, our realtor was getting so frustrated with us because he was showing us house after house after house after house, and we didn't really like a lot of things we were seeing. A lot of things were just like super massive or super tiny, and we didn't want to buy this huge massive house. We don't need 3,500 square feet. We're a family of 5. We just don't need that much room. We would rather have way more land because we like to be outside more than anything else anyways. So yeah, don't overspend. Your realtor is gonna push you to buy the bigger house because typically the bigger house is more money, and the higher your purchase price for your house is obviously a bigger commission for them. So don't let anybody push you into buying a bigger house. Even family, they're like, you know, your house only has 3 bedrooms. What if you have more kids? Like, where's everybody gonna stay? We will make it work. My husband grew up in a family with 7 children, and they fit into a normal size house just fine. Everybody was happy, everyone was comfortable. We will live. I'm pretty sure if we have more kids, you know, our girls already share a bedroom. We have a full basement that can be remodeled. We will all fit. One of my favorite quotes is, when there is room in the heart, there's room in the home. Number 26 is frugal people don't spend money every day. I was like, people do that? Like what? Me and my husband are so funny because my husband works crazy hours and he has a pretty decent commute right now. And he's like, I love my work hours because I don't have time to spend money. So, and I don't go anywhere every single day. I like to just put all my errands like on 1 or 2 days, and I'll get all my errands done within that day or 2. So I don't really leave the house a whole lot other than to do like fun things with the kids, but I'm not going to the store and spending money every single day. Number 27 is buy expensive coffee daily. I was like, what? I literally have a coffee budget written into my expenses, and I know that for myself, I like Starbucks drinks. I have enough room in my budget where I limit myself to 2 Starbucks drinks throughout the month. So I can go like every other week and get a Starbucks drink. And it also depends on the size and what kind of coffee I get. Typically I get a small because then if I wanted to, I could get a little bit of a fancier drink, especially around like Christmas time and stuff. They have all their specialty drinks. I like those. Not a necessity. I brew my own coffee. And like I said, I think it helps me out a lot because I live like 20-25 minutes from the next city over that has something more than a corner store and a gas station. So that helps out a lot because I'm not driving 25 minutes through the snow and ice to get a coffee. I'm gonna stay at home and brew it in my coffee maker. Number 28 is frugal people don't throw away leftovers, and I literally just did a whole video talking about and begging you not to throw away your leftovers. Reuse them, repurpose them, freeze them. We almost never throw away leftovers, hardly ever. And a big way how we keep from throwing out leftovers is if I notice we have a lot of leftovers in our fridge, we'll have a dinner night where I just pull out all the leftovers, and we have a leftover buffet and we'll eat up those leftovers because I hate throwing things away. That's insane to me. Number 29 is pay people to do things that you can DIY. This is totally true. I have a couple videos up on my channel where we have been doing some renovations to this house. We painted, we put in new floors. We just literally over the weekend put in can lights in our living room. A big thing is if we personally don't know how to do it, we know somebody who does. My husband works a trade. My husband does a lot of things on his own. One of my brother-in-laws is a plumber. My sister's boyfriend worked in construction for a while, so he's super handy. He helps us out pretty much more than anybody else. But if we personally don't know how to do it, somebody else can that we know. And we live in a town where it's like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, so we pretty much do everything ourselves. Or we like barter and trade basically through family and friends. Like just over the weekend, my brother-in-law helped us put in the can lights, but in the spring, husband's gonna go help him put on a new roof, and I'm gonna go over and help my sister paint some walls. That is how we save a ton of money, especially when we put in the floors. That would have been like a 10 grand, 15 grand job. And instead we did it just for the cost of materials and some pizza, and with 4 of us, we had all 3 of the kids, and we did it in 1 weekend. So number 30 is frugal people don't pay bank fees. And I'm like, if you're paying bank fees in 2021, like, you need to reevaluate your life. Right in hand with that is people don't pay late fees. That's so true. Even if it's like a 1% interest rate, if you're coming in late, like, that's insane. Just pay your things on time, pay your bills on time. Set up automatic withdrawals if you have to. I have a lot of our bills on automatic withdrawal because I know me, and as our family has grown and we have more kids and more responsibilities and things like that, small things like that have the possibility to fall through the cracks. So I have pretty much everything on automatic withdrawal these days because it just is one less thing that has to go through my brain. Number 32 is buy convenience food. And I still do this. I make a lot of my convenience food as well, meaning that I make freezer meals and I'll have them like in ready to go containers. I just pop them in the oven. But yeah, I buy pizzas, I buy prepackaged foods, but we don't rely on them either. I keep them like on my food storage shelf, and when I need them, I'll go down and grab them. But other than that, no. I basically stock up on convenience meals like 2 or 3 times a year. Number 33 is ignore clearance racks. I mentioned this earlier. The clearance rack is my best friend. I love looking at the clearance rack, or like the clearance aisle down in Walmart. I always walk down that. In all things, I love clearance. I love those stickers. Number 34 is skip free events. We definitely don't do this. We used to do this a ton more out at Fort Drum, because out on the base, they always had free events. Like, they would have Big Badger bouncers, which are like big inflatable bounce houses. We would go to those all the time with the kids. Basically, where we live, not a lot of things you have to pay for that are like fun. We bring our kids to the lake, bring them to the beach, all the parks and stuff like that. Where we live, we don't have to pay for parking. When I was living in New York, it blew my mind that you had to pay for parking for beaches and lakes and all of that stuff. It literally blew my mind. But we do a lot of free activities with our kids anyways. Number 35 is buy big ticket items without comparing. This is 100% true. When we have to buy a dishwasher, we're shopping for new appliances for our kitchen right now, and we will do research for a couple of weeks, couple of months, depending on how much time we have, because sometimes your washer breaks and you just need a new washer, so you're doing quick searches and things like that. But if we know we're going to be making a big purchase, like a car or like our home, we do a lot of research and try to find the best deal and compare and figure out what we actually need versus what we want, because sometimes those are hard to decipher. So yeah, we definitely do this. Number 36 is try to live somebody else's life. And I basically think this, they're trying to say people try to keep up, or frugal people don't try to keep up with the Joneses. And this is so true. It can be hard sometimes, like, especially when you see people that have like brand new cars or whatever. You're like, I want that. But I don't know your life, especially when we were living in the Army, especially when my husband was enlisted. I mean, your pay is set. If you are the same rank, everybody gets the same pay. So I would see people that, like, I know how much you're making because we are also bringing in the same amount of income, and we were one of the only people that had a child. And people are like, I don't get it, like, we're broke, how are you guys not broke? And a lot of it came down to we didn't keep up with the Joneses, and we cut out a lot of little expenses. We had 2 vehicles, but one of ours was paid off. We only had 1 car payment, and we also drove practical vehicles. A lot of the other people drove like really fancy designer cars, like luxury vehicles. We did not. We had like the mom van, you know, but we lived a lot more comfortably because we didn't have those expenses. So yeah, we definitely don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Like, I don't know what my neighbors make. I don't care what my neighbors make. I'm gonna live my life and you live yours. Especially like in the age of social media, people try to flex and they'll be like, oh, look at my brand new car, look at my brand new house, like whatever it is. Maybe it's like 4-wheelers or snowmobiles or whatever is kind of like big in your area. But that doesn't really work on me. Like, good for you. have fun. I'm happy for you, but I am in a different stage of life. Like, I've got a family, I've got kids, and I don't feel the need to flex because I just don't care. Like, when I see people with a brand new car, like a really expensive car, like maybe like a $55,000 truck, I'm like, you have fun with that car payment for the next 6 years, because that looks like a terrible time. It's never like I'm jealous about the car, because I'm not jealous about that car payment you're gonna be making. So there you go. Those are 36 things frugal people never do. I think I did okay on this. I was definitely really honest, and there are some things that I feel like I'm cheap, but I'm not like the cheapest cheapskates in America cheap. You know what I mean? I feel like I am functionally cheap, acceptably cheap. Like, on a scale of cheap to cheap, like, where do you land on that cheap scale? I'm definitely interested. I hope you guys have a really good day, a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next week with some new videos. Bye.
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low.